On this episode, we have Caitlin O'Connor from Rochester, New York. On this episode, Caitlin takes us through what works for her and what hasn't in growing her business. Let's get into it. But yeah, thanks for hopping on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's just kind of jump right into it and just go ahead and introduce yourself.
That sounds great. My name is Caitlin O'Connor. I am a local real estate agent here in Rochester, New York. I work for Keller Williams Realty here. And this is my third full year in real estate. My third year anniversary is coming up on August 20th. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be in this business. It's super rewarding. And
Nice.
A little bit about me.
What led you to real estate?
That's a great question. So I have a little bit of an unconventional background in how I got into the real estate. I've been in the real estate industry for probably about 13 years. I actually worked for a real estate prospecting and lead generation company. And what we did, I worked for them for 13 years. And what we did is we actually prospected for real estate agents nationally. And we would call for sale by owners and expired. So my entire background was talking the talk and not walking the walk. So during COVID hit, in 2020, and of course I had already thought about getting my real estate license, multiple times. But this time I finally just went through and I did it during COVID. I'm like, who wants to waste time doing absolutely nothing? And the tough thing was I wasn't able to actually sell homes right away because I couldn't get into them. So it was a really interesting time to have gotten my real estate license. Yeah. But the first, because of my background and when our company kind of got up and running again, I started to work for sale by owners and it took off from there.
So you have no problem.
So that's what led me into the...
Gotcha.
What's that?
So you have no problem really jumping on the phone and cold calling?
No.
Oh my gosh, that's huge because I can't stand it.
None. I don't like to do it. I don't like to do it, but I think that, with my background and being in the industry that I was in, it kind of, what I think that it helps most with, and as I transitioned into actual, working in real estate, being a realtor, was I knew the lingo of real estate. I could talk the talk. There's obviously a lot to learn. It's like drinking from a fire hose. But I could talk the talk and I understood the market. I understood realtors in general. So I think just my confidence level and the, being able to have the conversations with buyers and sellers was there. So.
Yeah. And probably developing a thick skin, I'm assuming too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But real estate, nobody prepares you for this business. Everyone says oh, everybody's different. You hear these crazy stories, but every story is different, and I could have never expected what I would experience in real estate.
Yeah, definitely. So you made that transition, really. Did you hop right on a team, or did you go solo?
Solo. Okay. Yep, solo. I know that there's so many benefits to joining a team, and a lot of people tell you, join a team, learn the processes, understand what they're doing, maybe become an admin. But to myself, my background is in sales and marketing. So, and, I felt I had a lot of confidence in that. And so I was more, I wanted to kind of do not a slow roll because you want to build your business as soon as possible. But I felt what was going to be most important was building my brand from the beginning. And kind of learning from there. But, everybody has a different road.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you go about building your brand right from the beginning, not being on a team?
Yeah. So, well, of course, you start posting on Facebook and Instagram. And although posting a picture of a front door, showing that you're at, it's not going to give you an instant customer. But how I built my brand is I literally made sure that I was doing something in real estate. Every single weekend, whatever I did in real estate, I became that annoying person that was constantly posting about it on my stories. And it just, I wasn't concerned about, am I getting a business from this post? I just wanted to be top of mind. And then my marketing, my logo and everything, I just remained very consistent with that. I had a really big sphere, but I think a lot of people think when they get their license, your business is going to automatically come from your friends and family, and it doesn't. So I feel like it comes from your friends and family once they see you and they trust you that you're actually doing things in this business. So, building my brand, I also have I had a book club that I started during COVID, and we were it kind of, people caught on to it, and I was doing the book clubs via Zoom, but then I started to do them in person as we could get together. And I started to have 40 to 50 women show up at these book clubs.
Wow.
And, we would read, personal development books. We started to read all different types of books, but it created a really good sphere for me. Women that I didn't know, people that I did know, but I always made sure that, I didn't want it to be a networking group by any means, but what it did is it really helped people understand who I am through conversation. And then they know that I'm a real estate agent, and then they just begin to trust me and they talk to me. So I ended up just organically getting, and I still do get, there's almost 700 women that are part of this book club now, and majority of them live in Rochester. And so now as they get to know me, they just naturally want to reach out to me and ask for my advice, or, talk about, they know I'm a realtor. So that was a big thing in my branding, because everyone the word kind of got out there that I was a realtor.
That's really cool. So you really created basically a community. You had your, certain sphere of influence that you kind of, you didn't get too much from, but you went out and created your own sphere, really, that had nothing to do with real estate, that would come back around with referrals, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, you want to create a community, but I think a lot of realtors, and by the way, I'm not this big mega producer now, I'm having the best year that I've had, and it's been very successful. But I feel that's one thing that, we might be missing as real estate agents in creating our brand with people, is attracting them to things that they like naturally, and creating organic relationships. So I'm I love to read, so let me get women together, and they like to get together and have wine and read and hear other people's real life stories that naturally come out in the discussions that we have in the book. And it's been wildly successful.
It's got to expedite the process of getting someone to trust you too. If they know, and if they like the same things that you have, it's a very easy conversation to get to know somebody, right?
Yeah. And being vulnerable, in front of them. And that's doing a podcast. It's that's, we could do videos on Instagram, right? Or create a TikTok, and, kind of mirror other realtors' TikToks and say, hey, what are the top 5 things that you should do as a first-time home buyer? I think that's creating, you're creating value and building your, your brand that way. But more so for me, it's I want to get in front of people and, help them get to know really truly who I am, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's been great. Yeah.
And that's not that's not really a fast process either. Like you mentioned, obviously you want to grow your business as fast as possible, but you want to be smart about it. And I feel for agents or newer agents, at least, it's hard to not be so transactionally focused. It's more focused you should be more focused on the relationship. And that can be difficult because we're paid commission, right? So it's when something doesn't close or we don't have a deal this second, then we don't get paid. So is that kind of a hard mind shift to have, or did you already have that mind shift, mind frame going into it?
Yeah. So that's really funny because I was very fortunate where I was still working my other full-time job, where my income was coming from that.
Okay.
Right. So building my real estate business to me, and I realized that not everybody has that luxury to do that, and becoming, having a job when they get into real estate. But for me, it was more so real estate's the long game. I know that is what's going to be so important in the longevity of my business, is to create these relationships. And, transactional, don't get me wrong, there's crazy clients once in a great while that you're okay, that was a transaction. You wish them the best and you move on. But transactional, I was more transactional based because I wanted to be competitive and I wanted to show other realtors that I wanted to be in the game and I wanted them to know who I was. So I got offers accepted. And so I was able to build credibility and respect in the business. And I feel like that's more so where I was concerned about my production. And then with my clients, I wasn't really feeling that. I just wanted I wanted to create my brand.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's really,
and like obviously help them.
yeah. That's a really unconventional way to kind of really go about it. That's a really cool idea. I had one agent that came on the podcast, and rather than doing, door knocking to residences, she would go to businesses,
The big fish. Yeah.
But the book club and having that many people a part of it, do you market that at all, or?
I market that like with my clients. So with my past clients, my current clients, my past clients, like I almost don't think about it so much as marketing. It's really funny because when I tell them about it and I'm excited to like invite them to it, it's more so because I want them to stay in my life and I want to be connected with them. So it's like, I'm like, do you read books? Like some people don't. And I'm like, well, you can Audible because I Audible, but I always invite them to my book club. And the book club is actually a group on Facebook. So it's not just a page that you like. It's not just an Instagram page. It's a group. So anything I post in there, everybody gets an update. And I don't post anything about business in there. It's strictly about our book club. Because that's annoying. I mean, I think it's annoying. They're there for book club.
Sure.
They don't want to hear about my business.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, and I tell them about it. And so many of my clients are in the book club, and I love to be able to see them and have a long relationship with them.
Yeah, that's a hell of a lot better than sending, happy birthday, 1 year anniversary email or a card or something like that. So you're actually like,
yeah.
How often do you see your past clients through the book club?
Well, probably every 6 weeks, but not every woman is like part of that, of course, and then I have other ways that I communicate with them, but I just love when they do come because it's a great way to stay connected.
Yeah,
but other ways, it's, yeah. I mean, their husbands are probably like, oh, they're going to book club again. They're just going to drink tonight. And like, drunk club. I think my husband called it drunk club. He kind of jokes, but yeah.
That's great.
But I'm going to host it at my house this upcoming month. So in a couple weeks. So I have like a girl, she's coming to do a full like charcuterie table. I'll have water bottles that I brand with my business, for anybody who comes. And, I do a little bit of marketing that way, but I more so just want to come from a place of contribution and have a great time.
Yeah. It's like an event that you do for your past clients, which is really difficult to do, right? I feel like marketing to your past clients is one of like, everyone knows we have to do it, but it's like probably one of the harder things to figure out to do. Like, how do I provide value to someone I already worked with? And nail it down with something that you're gaining interest at.
Yeah. I have a ways to go because that's something that I'm working on, like marketing my past clients, like birthdays and like what is valuable. And, I thought about making like a real estate, like, how like they have like the bark boxes or like the dog boxes. Like I thought about making like 2 of them a year and sending them to my past clients. Cause like, agents do like drop offs. Mm-hmm. Well, like it's so exciting to get something in the mail and you're like, ooh, what's this? Like to open it up. So I don't know. I'm working on it. We're always a work in progress.
I know.
Right?
I know. It's like we're, the train's coming down the tracks. So we're trying to like put the tracks down so it doesn't trash.
Yeah.
Do you use a CRM for your past clients?
I do not.
Okay.
Nope. I'm sorry. I absolutely do. I use Command with Keller Williams Command. However, I do not have a system in place except for like home anniversaries and birthdays. I just finally hired a transaction coordinator and getting, just trying to get some of my systems in place. So I'm a work in progress there.
One thing I was like kind of researching myself. It's this tool, and I'll text it to you after. I can't remember what it was called, but it's a tool where it's a gift box, right? So you can have your branding on the box, and you send the client a link, and what it does is it like uses AI. So like they answer questions like, do you have a dog? And it's like, yes or no. Do you have a cat? Yes or no.
Oh.
Are you a coffee drinker? Do you like salts or sweets? Like, so it uses like, it has all these qualifying questions, and then they get a box. Like you don't know what it's going to be and they don't know what it's going to be. And it'll just like put different stuff based on how they answer those questions.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's super easy. Like they hold the box for you. They package it for you. So it's really like hands off. So you're talking about systems. Like that's something that I came across fairly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to see that.
Yeah. So
it's
it's a great tool. I mean, it's something I kind of want to start implementing on my side because, once it closes, it's kind of like, let me know if you have any other friends that want to buy a house. You know what I mean? It's difficult to stay in touch with them. So, so you just hired a transaction coordinator, right?
Yep, just hired a transaction coordinator.
What was the process, right, like to bring someone on? Was that difficult to delegate, or was there a time in like you're like, man, I'm doing way too much, I need to like back off and hire someone to do this kind of thing?
Yeah, so I'm extremely ADHD. I am very, very good at I'm detail oriented, but I am good at being in front of people. Negotiating deals, that's probably one of my stronger suits. I think just because of my background, but I was getting so busy where I wasn't feeling like I was giving my client they were still getting attention. I always return my calls. I always return texts. I'm on top of the transaction. But when I was feeling like I was getting like bogged down with paperwork and just kind of like following up in the timelines of the process, like it was taking away my joy from doing the things that I did best. So you will talk about, I know you're going to ask me a different question that might relate to this, but my husband read, he reads all the real estate books. He literally went out, he's an IT guy, he's not a realtor, but he went out and he read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. He read The One Thing. He's reading The Millionaire Investor. He just is that guy. He's amazing. But he read, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and he's finally got to the point. He goes, you know what? I think it's time. And I'm so grateful for other agents and the relationships that you build, because I was talking to an agent, I think she's in Chicago, and she goes, you need to talk to your office and ask them who is taking on transaction coordinator work, if anybody wants more work. And unfortunately, we didn't have anybody in my office that was specifically doing that for agents, but I was connected to this company called the Ashley Group. And I strongly, suggest if anybody is looking for a transaction coordinator, the Ashley Group, they are absolutely fantastic. They do it per transaction. She was actually she was the MCA in the Buffalo Keller Williams, but she moved to North Carolina, and she now has a team of transaction coordinators, and I pay them per transaction. Oh, wow. So I am able to, I feel very lucky. It literally only took me 2 conversations to get to them. And this girl, I was so scared about implementing the process because I'm a visionary person. I'm not a great executor as far as how to show somebody processes. And so I was so scared about that. And this girl, Candace, came in and she told me what I'm doing with my business. I'm kind of being facetious, but they just already had the process in place, and they know what questions to ask you to plug in your branding and to plug in things that are important about your process. They literally have it down to a T.
Yeah. Yep. So they're called the Ashley Group?
The Ashley Group. Yeah. So, and it's per transaction. So it's kind of you don't have somebody totally on your payroll, when you're scaling your business, and if you have a slow month or two. And
if they have to, if they're sick, if they're going out of town on vacation, they handle coverage for you and everything?
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
Yep.
I'll write that down.
And they're all in the States. So you're not no offense to anybody that hires, companies out of the country or whatnot, but they're all very highly skilled and intelligent. And my transaction coordinator, she's a real estate agent herself.
Yeah. That's interesting. So I'm the same way, right? I can have the vision, but in terms of implementing it, I'm horrific at. I get distracted very, very easily, and I'm on to the next thing. And it's if I could have someone, and I found someone finally to put some systems in place for myself, with outreach and following up past clients and that kind of stuff. So that way I can focus on what I'm good at, right? Or stuff that I want to do. Because if it's something that I don't like to do, I'm just not going to do it, and it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
And I can try and time block all I want, but life happens. You have 2 kids, right? It's impossible. Mm-hmm. So it's funny. I'm kind of the same.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a work in progress. So that's kind of where my business stands right now, is just hiring my transaction coordinator. And that was the easiest process. So it kind of makes you feel like, takes a lot off your chest, because you don't know, like, how am I going to start building not my team, but like, how am I going to start like getting these things in place? And then when it happened and it all came together so nicely, I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Right. Do you have, kind of talking about your business, do you have any plans to bring on like a buyer's agent, seller's agent? Like, what are some of your goals for, maybe next year or the next 5?
So my goals are to be the most profitable individual agent. Initially, I want to like absolutely master that. And what I mean by profitable is I would rather bring on a team around me to help me do what I absolutely do best. And when I feel as though, because it's all about customer service, right? And it's all about like servicing your clients and building your brand in a good business where people feel good and they have the best experience possible with you. So my goal is to be as profitable as possible, to build a team around me to help me do that. And I will do that as long as I am always servicing and I'm creating a great experience for my clients. And if I feel as though for 1 second that I'm not, that's when I'm going to bring somebody else on. But I also want to, when I bring a buyer's agent on, I feel very strongly about being just as valuable to somebody else as they are to me. So I want to be able to mentor them and understand their goals, and for it to be a really good mutual relationship with a buyer's agent, and not have them feel like they need to be a buyer's agent forever on my team.
Yeah.
Like, I want it to be a good partnership, I guess. That's
sure.
Because I feel like a lot of agents, when they join teams, they get so lost in being on that team, and they feel as though they get stuck in the money that they're making on that team, that they don't leave the team. And for me, another reason why I felt as though I didn't want to join a team. And by the way, I also understand that there's so many benefits of being on a team too. This is just my own personal journey. But I totally, and when I thought about being on a team, I'm like, if I want to go get another sales job, I'll go get another sales job. Mm-hmm. But if I want to build a business, I should be on my own, and I should build a business. So when I bring on a buyer's agent, I want them to feel like we're partnering together and that they're building their business too. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I do want to do that. And hopefully I'll get there in the next year.
Yeah. So, I mean, it all comes down to having clients, right? Getting more clients so you can bring on more people. Do you have any plans to do any more like organic stuff on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or anything like paid wise?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm saying how I wanted to start my podcast back up again and kind of come up with a better way to do that, like that's very functional and timing. So there's 2 things that I want to do. My next step is I want to start my podcast back up. But my second thing is I want to start creating like video content, but I don't want to do video content of me like holding my phone in front of me and doing like a selfie. There's this one agent, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but her name is Glenda Baker, and she's a real estate agent. And do you follow her? I love what she does because her personality, she's such a great personality. She just spits like massive information at people. And so my next, branding wise and on social media, my next goal is to start creating some of those videos, but I want them to be professionally
like video, like lighting,
yes,
sound,
professionally produced videos. So that's my goal there. And as far as other types of marketing, I also want to start focusing a little bit more on social media ads. I've done some of it on Facebook and Instagram, but I don't feel as though that I've really done it intentionally, where I've taken the time to learn who to get in front of, what ad, what's your audience for this particular ad, things like that. So that's my next goal. And then the other goal that I have is I really want to get honed in on my past clients and my sphere. Mm-hmm. So I just want to think about like what other things that I could do to be valuable to my sphere. My next thing I also want to do besides the book club is I want to create like a women in business type networking group where we just get together maybe once a month and, we talk. And I don't care if there's other realtors in it. I don't care if I just want it to be a thing that we provide, value in.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. I know there's an agent down in, where is she? Raleigh, North Carolina. That and I'll share it with you at once we're done. But she has like a whole group that you're thinking of too. It's a bunch of like women professional, like either business owners or like higher like directors, VPs, that kind of thing. And they meet, they do different seminars. They have business coaches come in. So like she created this whole kind of community similar to what you're talking about. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Do you use the podcast as like another way to kind of have like a unconventional community, right? You have like the book club, but are you using the podcast as like another piece of that puzzle?
I was, and like I said, I haven't done it in a couple months. So, but absolutely. So, when people came on my podcast, it wasn't to talk about real estate. It was to talk about everything else but real estate. And if real estate came up naturally, it came up naturally. But what I wanted was, again, just to get myself in front of my audience and get them to know me on a personal level. And we would talk, like I would interview women that had, really great stories, very inspiring stories. And, one of them was a local newscaster. She moved here from Austin, Texas, moved her whole family here from Austin, Texas. Her name is Chris Betts, and she's an interior designer now, but she moved her family here from Austin, Texas, was a news anchor for literally, I think, a year. And she absolutely hated the, situation that she was in. And she literally quit and was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm pretty sure I have a vision of what this is going to look like, but to move your family across country and understand when something's not serving you. So like my interview was all about her transition and what that looked like for her. And so many women reached out and they were like, wow, thank you so much for sharing that, and reached out to her. Yeah. And then, of course, she shared it on her Facebook, right, and her Instagram when she came on, just like people will do with you. So it all just,
Yeah.
It's just organically, you get in front of people organically.
Yeah. I mean, how relatable is that, right? If someone doesn't like the situation they're in, and how intimidating is that to move from Austin, Texas to, Rochester, New York, right? But she took the leap and sounds like it worked out for her, so...
Yeah. So I guess I market towards women because, I have women on my podcast, but it's just like naturally, it's not for any reason,
I mean, like at the end of the day, like, let's be honest, like my wife, everybody knows that like she's the decision maker. So it's kind of like, we're kind of going about the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's important.
So, I mean, I want to go back to some of the videos that you plan on doing that are going to be professionally produced. Do you have an idea about what types of content you want to shoot? Is it long form, short form? Is it educational? Entertainment?
I want to do two different types of videos. Like I want to do shorts, like the shorts, and just have like facts. So I've already started to like I have like half a notebook of things that I've written about. I'll be showing a house and I walk into a situation and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why would you do this? Or, or you just have like terrible examples of when people list their home and, things that their agent doesn't make them do, but it actually stands out crazy when buyers agents are bringing their clients in. So like, I plan on like creating like some short videos like that. And then maybe creating like some longer ones, like maybe 5 minutes of, hey, the basic videos, but you need to do it because it's valuable. But like, what should you do when you're thinking about buying a home? What are like the top 5, things that you need to have in place financially when you're thinking about purchasing your first home? And then to market for listings, I want to talk about things like, hey, do you know how you can leverage your first house to purchase your next? Yeah. Maybe like bridge loans, or, how to pull equity to buy investment properties. Like, can you pull the equity out of your house to purchase your next investment property? And hey, by the way, my clients just did this and here's what their numbers look like. But I want to like teach people how to do things, but like in the simplest form. Yeah. So that's my goal. I want to do shorts, and then I want to do like maybe 5-minute videos. Yeah. So, YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, maybe, and longer form YouTube. So yeah. Do you plan on, how do you plan on like measuring, that kind of stuff? Like do you use like
Are you going to look at like the comments, the shares? Not sure.
No, I laugh because when I started my podcast, like my husband asked me, his name is Aaron. He's like, so how are we going to measure this success for you? Like, how are you going to measure, the amount that you're investing versus what you get back? And, I said, I don't really know. This is just what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm going to do, and my gut was like all about it. And I kind of joke because actually the people that produce my podcast, they're called Hill and Valley Creative, the company, and they're wonderful people, but they just closed down their house last week or 2 weeks ago.
Jeez.
So it was like kind of a funny joke because he goes, they would love this story too, because I'm like, when I was a couple episodes in and he had asked me that, and I was like, well, guess what? I already got my first client from my podcast. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, Adam and Tatiana want to buy a house. He's like, really? I go, yeah, I said that just covered my investment, like joking. Yeah. But how I will measure my success is I think that we have to be true enough to ourselves. We have to be consistent with it. So we need to give ourselves enough time to be consistent. But I think measuring the success is like, you really do have to, like, I think financially to have enough money coming in your business to be able to make these decisions of, okay, it makes sense for me to hire Hill and Valley to do a day full of video content for me and pay them $2,500. And I don't know if that's the total cost, but what you're doing, money has to be coming in to go out. So I think that we can try a lot of things in our business. Some things work and some things don't. But we do know that this is where it's going. And if you're always coming from a place of contribution, I think it's going to come back.
Yeah, I have the same kind of mind frame, right? Like I do content on Instagram, YouTube, and people ask like, what's the ROI of it? I to put a real dollar figure on it, I couldn't tell you, but I know that like it's gotten me in front of more people than, if I didn't do it, and it's led me to more conversations with other people. And it's all, I just kind of measure it by conversation. If I can get a video that does, 500 views, that's 500 people that I've got in front of that I didn't even, really have to try, so.
That you wouldn't have. Yeah. And then you're in their algorithm and, you'll come up more often. So, and I don't have to pay somebody to do that, but I want my branding to look really professional and to scale up. I've been lucky enough to, like, this past year, like my average sales price has been a lot higher. I closed on my first almost $1 million property. So that was like, kind of like a, milestone a little bit for me. And I've also been able to create like some really good relationships. So I'm like one of our major hospitals here, they have now named me as one of their main real estate agents for their executives and their physicians, like moving in. So I feel like when you start to work, my goal is to work with higher end and, any client really, but I just always want my content to look like professional. And
absolutely,
that's why I want to spend the money on it. But I don't do leads. I don't pay for leads. I don't pay for Zillow leads. I don't do any of that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you, was this something that you're planning on implementing this year? Or is there next year kind of thing?
No, like within the next month or two.
Okay. So quick. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you, do you plan on using like a content calendar at all, or?
I need to. So I just started to, I use Canva for like a lot of my own, like I'll do all my own marketing on Canva. And I just started to explore like how I can set up my posts to come out. So once I've been working in my command to kind of get things like organized as far as birthdays, anniversaries, and giving, doing, they're called smart plans. So I'm almost there getting that organized. And then with the content, I want to go through and kind of think about like what's important to people at this time of the month, that time of the month. And I've started to create marketing. Like as of last month, I have like a bunch of marketing that I started to create as far as like Christmas, Halloween, the basics, but now I'm adding on to that. Yeah.
Nice. Do you, one thing that I use too, I don't know if you've used it, is ChatGPT to help with ideas or anything. I don't know have you used it at all?
Yeah, I've used it for the past 2 listings that I've had.
Yeah, running the description.
For the listing. Yeah, and of course you got to go through and change it, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I wish I had it in college to write like papers and stuff, but
I know.
All right, so we're kind of coming up on the end here, and I mentioned this in the beginning. These are 3 questions I ask everybody that comes on, right? So the first one, what's one book or podcast you think everybody who's in real estate should either read or listen to?
Okay, this is really tough, but if it's real estate related, I feel like I listen to a lot of different real estate related podcasts, but there's somebody that Ed Milet is one of my favorite podcasts. You know Ed Milet?
I've heard of the name. Yep, I haven't listened to his podcast.
Yeah, so his podcast is absolutely one of my favorites. He's great. And I do read a lot of books. I don't know why it's nothing my favorite isn't popping up, but this is not exactly real estate related, but it's he interviewed like Spanx, like Sarah.
Oh yeah.
My gosh, yeah. So he interviews all these huge CEOs, and he, in the way that he interviews, he makes their process of building like their multi-million or billion-dollar company sound so simple. And I think as real estate agents, like we're always drinking from a fire hose. We think we have to be doing so many things all at once because there's so many realtors around us that are doing so many different things. How I built this is like such a great way to like just hear other entrepreneurs' stories and understand that there's a process and it's very simple.
Right. And was Ed Milet, or was that a different guy?
Ed Milet is one, and then Guy Raz, How I Built This, is a different one.
Okay, cool. Write that down. All right, next one. What should everyone who's in real estate either stop doing or start doing?
Stop caring about what other people tell you to do. Stop listening to the minutia that's out there. Everyone has an opinion about what you should be doing at any point of your business. And lean into like who you are and lean into what you're great at, because not everybody is the same. And like if you're trying to like duplicate other agents' posts, or if you're trying to look a certain way on Instagram and like putting a post out there because you think that you should, your audience isn't going to catch on to it. But like once you lean into like exactly who you are and relay your message in the way that you feel authentic, then that'll work. And it doesn't really matter if you like model cars, like talk about your model cars, or, it doesn't really matter. Just like lean into whatever you're good at. Stop listening to other people. Don't listen to other realtors, because nobody else is invested in your success as much as you are. Right. So as soon as I kind of stopped doing that, because my first year and a half, that was very difficult because I like had so much anxiety and I thought I should be doing what everybody else was doing. And finally, when I was like starting to see a little bit of my own success, I'm like, well, fuck them. Like, this is me. So long story short, listen to yourself, stop listening to everybody else, and lean into who you are.
Yeah. Because people can see through the bullshit, especially on social media.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, they totally can. Like people think that they know me that don't know me just because they see what I post, like what I post or my stories, and I don't try to be anybody I'm not.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. All right, last one. Where can everybody find you online?
They can find me on Instagram, Caitlin O'Connor Real Estate. They can also find me on Facebook, Caitlin O'Connor, and I also have a Facebook page, Caitlin O'Connor Real Estate. Or you can, or my website, or my Google business page. If you search Caitlin O'Connor Real Estate on Google, I'll come up at the top. You'll see all of my great reviews, and I'd love to work with anybody if you're looking to buy or sell a home in Rochester, New York.
Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate for hopping on. This was great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I talk a lot.
Oh, no, you're great. This was great. Thank you.
Yeah, we should definitely like stay connected. I'd love to like follow up, after this too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have a 1:00 meeting, but I'd love for you and I to keep in contact. So
yeah, definitely.